Harriet Harman, are you speaking out now because the Daily Mail has made it impossible for you to keep quiet?
Yes, that is the case. I mean, they've made these allegations before and they're so outlandish and so far from the truth that in the past I thought, don't dignify them with a response. You know, people won't believe them, they'll just go away. And I thought the same this time, but they've put it on their front page 3 times and they're whipping up such an ugly insinuation that I felt it was really important to respond to them.
But you were the legal officer for several years at the National Council for Civil Liberties, which was affiliated to the Paedophile Information Exchange. Were you aware of the affiliation?
Basically, NCCL was an organisation which had something like 6,000 members and 1,000 affiliates, and anybody could join the NCCL simply by paying a fee. When I was there as NCCL legal officer, there was nothing that, you know, far from it that I put forward that supported sexual abuse of children.
But why was it acceptable even to have an affiliation? They didn't try to hide what they were. The title of the group was the Paedophile Information Exchange. Why was it okay for them even to have any link with the group you worked for?
Well, NCCL was an organisation where any organisation could pay their affiliation and join it. And that's the way it was. It didn't have an expulsions policy. Any individual who wanted to pay their money to join NCCL could, and any organisation could join.
You see, at the time when you were the legal officer there, you wrote in a briefing paper to MPs, and we have it here, that prosecutions in relation to child protection and photography should only proceed if you can prove that children were actually harmed. Now, making that argument while the National Council was linked to the Paedophile Information Exchange, can you see why people might raise an eyebrow about that argument being made while there was an official link to an overt group of paedophiles?
But basically, if you look at that briefing paper, it actually welcomes the Protection of Children Bill, which for the first time was going to introduce a criminal law which said photography of children, which was going to be used for pornography, which was sexually abusive of children, was for the first time going to be a criminal offence.
Was it a mistake to have that affiliation?
Well, I think what was right was to actually dispel them from the conference and make sure that their views were never taken forward by NCCL, and that's what the big clash was.
It's a very simple question. Yes or no, was it a mistake to allow an overt group who were publicly campaigning for paedophiles to be affiliated, which is the term they used, to the National Council for Civil Liberties when you were the legal officer?
Well, I think on the basis that it has created somehow a sense that NCCL's work was therefore tainted by them, yes, obviously that is a very unfortunate inference to happen, but it is not the case that my work when I was at NCCL was influenced by PI, was apologising for paedophilia or colluding with paedophilia. That is an unfair inference and it's a smear.
Why won't you just say whether or not clearly it was a mistake for there to be any affiliation? You could have sent back their membership fees. You could have thrown them out.
You know, it was just not the sort of organisation which actually people applied to and were then vetted.
You were happy that your employer for 4 years took membership money from a group that was overtly campaigning for the rights of paedophiles. That wasn't a mistake. That's what you're saying.
Well, I was content with the fact, in the knowledge that nothing that I did supported paedophilia in any way, shape or form.
But you're happy for the National Council on Civil Liberties to have taken money from a paedophile group?
I wasn't even happy that the group existed. You know, they shouldn't have existed. They were obviously, you know, a front for very bad people who I think many of them were then prosecuted.